sleeping beside a man for 5 years without knowing that his sister was, in fact, his teenage ex-lover is the kind of cruel joke fate reserves for romantic, foolish women like me. My name is Florence, and if you think your family has skeletons in the closet, brace yourself, because mine had an entire cemetery hidden under the living room rug. I married for love, or at least that's what I believed as I walked down the aisle under the icy stare of Paige, my sister-in-law, who watched me as if I were a parasite stealing oxygen from her private property. Jimmy, my husband, the man with the easy smile and warm hands I met in college hallways, was the trophy she was never willing to give up. What I didn't know, as we exchanged vows of eternal fidelity, was that their past wasn't made of swing set games and scraped knees, but of sweaty sheets and a bloodbound promise he never had the courage to confess to me. From the very first Sunday dinner, the air grew heavy whenever Paige entered the room. She wasn't just a protective sister, she was an obsessive shadow. I felt her eyes boring into the back of my neck while I cooked, or noticed how she deliberately spilled wine on my new dress just to see how I'd react. Jimmy always said she was intense, because she had been adopted as a baby, a secret the family guarded as if it were a war crime, and one that, in his mind, explained every ounce of emotional instability in that bitter woman. I saw Paige rub herself against Jimmy's arms with a touch that was anything but sisterly. I saw how she whispered secrets in his ear that made him turn pale. And I, the devoted wife, was kept in the dark, groping along the walls of a lie that had begun long before I arrived with my white picket fence dreams and children running across the lawn. Paige's hostility wasn't mere sister-in-law cruelty. It was a full-scale war campaign. It started with small intrigues, planting doubts in his parents' minds about my character, suggesting I was with Jimmy only for the family status. But the madness soon escalated. Paige spun sinister lies, forged messages on my phone, hired people to follow me, and try to trap me in compromising situations. I felt like a disposable chess piece, an obstacle she needed to remove to reclaim what she believed was hers by right. And Jimmy, my beloved Jimmy, was a coward. He cut ties with her when he realized our marriage was hanging by a thread, but his silence was the deadliest poison. He never told me Paige wasn't his blood. He never told me that, as teenagers, they lived a forbidden, sick love story right under their parents' noses, parents who were now growing old without suspecting that the children raised as siblings had once been fervent lovers. The tension exploded on a stormy night, when Paige's mask finally hit the ground and shattered. I found a box of old photographs hidden in the attic of the country house, images that showed more than sibling affection, revealing the gleam of possession that made me nauseous. When I confronted Jimmy, his silence was all the confirmation I needed. He cried, begged for forgiveness, said Paige was a mistake he wanted to forget, so he could be the man I deserved. But the bitterness had already lodged itself in my chest. I wasn't just the wife. I was the replacement, the attempt at normalcy by a man haunted by his own past. But if Paige thought I would quietly step aside so she could reclaim Jimmy's bed in life, she didn't know the woman.
Listen to the full story and subscribe to our channel.